We should be front and center, but we're not, because if we were, then this place wouldn't be getting a paycheck.
A noisy intersection in St. Paul, in a way, serves as a stage for an issue driving some voters to the polls this November.
My necklace, it has my daughter's name on it.
Where a group of men and women like Marie Hurtis made the decision to stand outside Planned Parenthood and share their stories.
I named my daughter Anna, and partly I wear it to honor her as a full person she was.
Hurtis was a senior in high school when she had her abortion. Her feelings of excitement for a baby, she says, were met with resentment by her family and boyfriend.
As time went on, my grandparents and my mom and the father of the baby got the gist that I was sort of in my mind wanting to keep the child. So that's when some of the language and sort of threats came upon. And, the father of the child became angry and made it very clear he was going to have no part in the child's life.
10 weeks into her pregnancy, Hurtis went to a Wisconsin abortion clinic where the appointment began with an ultrasound.
What they did was sort of just zoom out as much as they could and just use it for their agenda. Like, oh, it's just a little dot. When the abortion started, I was nervous. I knew I was doing the wrong thing, but it really hit me once they turned the machine on, because they tell you in there that they're going to lightly suction out tissue, and the machine sounds like the loudest vacuum ever, and you feel like your insides are getting pulled out. And, at that moment, it's too late, but this was the worst decision ever.
She would eventually suffer a mental breakdown, regretting her decision every day since. She became a Christian, works as a teacher now, and found real love. And she is open about that day 10 years ago and hopes her story will save a life.
That's the thing about abortion, is they don't tell you the future.
Anne Marie Cosgrove has helped to connect this group after a movement that for her began alone 20 years ago at the Minnesota State Capitol.
Next year there was 12 of us at the state capitol giving our testimonies, and that's when the Silent No More awareness campaign started. We were able to have different events, holding signs that say, "I regret my abortion." So many people would see our signs and come up to us and say, "Me too."
With the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade this summer, Cosgrove couldn't help but again flash back to what she calls the worst decision she ever made.
I was angry because in 1983, when I had that abortion, if it hadn't been legal, I would never have sought out an illegal abortion. We were given a lie that it was a constitutional right to take the life of our children. In the abortion clinic, they told me that I could, have other children. And I never did. I ended up having a miscarriage and then never able to get pregnant again. So here I am, 64 years old. A lot of my friends are, showing me their grandchildren, and here I am. I'm like, I don't have that.
The pain of my abortions, where it was like keeping a beach ball under, I really still hadn't dealt with it, was just keeping it down.
Therese Douglas had 2 abortions as a teenager, eventually adopting. But even with baby daughters at home, the guilt would never go far.
I remember shortly after having her in our lives and looking across the table at her one day and thinking, you don't deserve her. That pain, the triggers kept coming and kept pushing it down.
She believes the medical community is irresponsible with their messaging, pointing to a kidney transplant brochure she once read with the emotional effects of organ donation put in print.
I'm thinking, really, the medical field recognizes that it will affect you emotionally to have a kidney taken from you, but not a baby taken from your womb.
So as vandals have set their sights on pro-life centers across the state this summer, this group feels compelled more than ever to come forward.
Our stories matter.
Believing stories like theirs just might change minds.